He meant a lot to me. I mean, personally, he had a huge impact on my life and in the direction that you know that I took. Just from the recruiting standpoint, I came up here on my recruiting trip as a senior in high school, and listening to the philosophy of the program was one of the things that attracted me to come here. I mean, I think I realized that I could be successful here. And Coach Kerr on the recruiting trip, of course, was pretty nice. That was my first impression of him. I understood that he valued hard work, and it seemed like he was be a good coach, somebody that I could wrestle for.
I knew he was a demanding person, demanding coach, but in a good way. I have some family friends, and their son wrestled here with Coach Mendoza, and he was on the '96 team. And that's kind of the way I ended up down here. They put in a good word with Coach Kerr for me, and they said, you fit in the program very well, but we gotta let you know firsthand. He was a strict guy. He expects a lot, but he gets the most out of you. And so, and I saw that immediately. He was always harping on guys for being on time, doing the right things, not cutting corners. I mean, he's just kind of a drill sergeant type, and he really preached it.
I remember actually being in the room as a freshman, and I would be battling it out with another guy at my weight class, and I remember, I had I'd always collar tie with this guy, and I'd get in a collar tie, but it would kind of freeze up the action. Coach Kerr kept telling me, you need to get out of the collar tie and start shooting from the open. But for years and years, that's just the way I did. So anyhow, it wasn't but, a few times after him telling me, him yell across a room, a few things, basically, are you stupid? And maybe threw in a few curse words in there. And but I remember thinking, man, Coach Kerr, basically he's pissed. And so I just remember, not, I don't want to say, I mean, I was 18, 19 years old, not being I wasn't crying on the side or anything like that, but I remember just thinking, man, he went off on me. And I remember sitting next to a good buddy of mine, Kobe Wright, another buddy of mine, Jason Ramstetter, and I remember them explaining, Coach Kerr's trying to tell you something. He doesn't want you to tie up with this guy in a collar tie. He wants you to wrestle from the open, and that's all he's trying to tell you. You got to take out the cursing, you got to take out the yelling, and just take what he's trying to tell you. And because what he was telling me was right, but not to get worked up about it, and just take what he was saying, and it was good advice. So
he always used to say, "Do as I say, not as I do." So I try to remember that. And I actually was renting one of his townhouse that he owned, and so I'd have to give him rent at least once a month. But I try to make it out there once a week. Either on a Sunday or something, or on a Saturday, and I'd go out there, and he'd ask me how the team was doing, or he'd say, I saw in the paper where you guys messed up. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, this is what you need to do. Or I talked, if I didn't go out there, I usually talk to him once a week, and so he always pointed me or gave me advice. This is what you need to do. Coach, I got this problem with this guy, and he's just kind of racking my brains about it. Well, back in 1988 or 1991 or whenever it was, I had to do this with this guy, and so, in his own way, he steered and helped me, just kind of with some things I did, and he'd say, this is where I made a mistake, don't make that mistake, and so, he helped influence the coach I'm becoming today.
The philosophy of the program here was basically to work hard year round, and pass up the guys that maybe had more talent than you out of high school, but you were going to outwork your opponent. And it just came down to hard work, and that's one thing that Coach Kerr preached all the time. You look at any of the teams that he had, they were always in good shape. They always had a high level of intensity, and they always brought it onto the mat, and a lot of times beat guys that were better than them, guys that they weren't supposed to beat, and it was basically just came down to just guts that they had, and that's something that you don't get anywhere but through training.
You know, everyone who's come through the program, anyone who's wrestled for Coach Kerr, doesn't matter how short it was, they all realize the philosophy and they all take pride in it. So it's something that it's going to be passed on, you know, because I wrestled for Coach Kerr, Coach Mendoza wrestled for Coach Kerr, the alumni, you know, that come around, the volunteer coach, you know, so he touched us and he influenced us, so it's going to continue on. And you know, I think, you know, it's a big impact. He's going to be a big part of this program for how many ever years, you know, it continues.
He did a lot for this program here, but he did so much nationally just for the program. He's a guy that testified in front of the Congress regarding Title IX. He was the president of the National Wrestling Coaches Association. And I'm sure, you know, just as he was a mentor for me, he was a mentor for other college coaches out there. And also, you know, some of his guys that wrestled for him, his alumni are out there coaching in college, coaching in high school. So, you know, he's done a lot. He's touched a lot of people that are in the sport of wrestling and that are giving back.